for instance, if you are at a seminar, you'll notice that they'll say, this is for today only. For today only, this is going to be $5,000. And if you do it later, it's going to go up to $10,000 or whatever. And it's not unethical, because it's just the way the industry works. It's just simply what you have to do. You have to do what other people are doing in order to compete effectively. Therefore, a prime minister, a potential prime minister, has to say they're going to do things which they're not actually going to be able to do, because if they don't, then they're not going to be the prime minister. And this is why we end up hating most of the prime ministers in most countries, because no matter what they do, it's just not enough. And if we were in that position for one day, we would begin to understand how it feels having a whole country saying, you should do this, you should do that, you should do that. And we all do it in our own lives. We all overcommit ourselves to some degree. I mean, some people are like superhuman and they manage to not overcommit themselves. But most people cannot do it, because it's so hard to say no to someone who is pressuring you. So really, this comes back to being assertive. And if you're assertive, then you'll find it easier to not say you're going to do something when you're actually not going to do it at all. And like, for instance, like I have this problem with certain guys. Like I'll have a conversation with someone and they'll beg me to take their number, and they'll just keep on pestering me until I say, okay, fine, I'll take your number. And you know you're not going to call, and you say, you know, I don't think I will, but they're like, oh, just take it anyway. And that's an example of something which we all have to deal with in our daily lives. People who pressure us to commit to doing something which we know we're not going to do. It's just not going to happen. And this is actually a positive thing if you know how to deal with it. Because if you know how to deal with it, then you start to feel much better, and you start to have more free time in your life. And not just free time, but a free space to just be, and to not feel pressured, and to not feel like, oh, you should be doing this or you should be doing that. And it all starts with a decision, and the decision is basically, I'm not going to commit to anything which I feel I may not do. And if you start doing that, it's hard, it's very, very hard, because people will pressure you and pressure you and pressure you. But if you're not a politician, you've got no excuse for not doing it, because if a politician starts saying what they're going to do and stops saying they're going to do something unless they're actually really going to do it, if they do that, if they try to import that philosophy into their own life, they probably wouldn't last very long in politics. And it's sad, but it's true. And you know, by learning from that, by taking that into our own lives, we can lead a more relaxed, more successful, happy life. Because when you commit to fewer things, you find that you can get more done. But if you commit to too many things, you're constantly chasing your own tail. So basically, all you've got to do is just, like, every time you talk to somebody who tries to pressure you into making a certain decision or a certain commitment that you're not sure about, you just say, I'll try, or I'll see, or I'm not sure at this point, or whatever. Just anything which gets you off the hook and stops you from having to do something which you are not sure about. And always think about things as well before you commit. Don't just agree in the moment. Don't be impulsive with what you agree to. Because if you can do this, if you can actually really only do what you actually want to do, and only say you're going to do what you want to do, people will respect you so much more, and they'll see you in a new light, and they won't be able to quite put their finger on it. They won't be able to say what it is. It'll just be like, well, something's changed in whatever your name is, in him or her. Something's changed. I don't know what it is. There's something different about them. And they might not notice it on a conscious level, that it's because you're just not bullshitting them anymore. And really, even doing this 10% is not acceptable. It's really not. And it's so hard, but it's really not acceptable to say you're going to do something and then not do it. It's really not, particularly in business. Particularly in business. And most people are quite good in business. Like, they say they're going to do something. Like, if you say you're going to go to a meeting, most people will go to that meeting. But you need to take this into your personal life as well, because credibility is something which needs to be carried over into every area of your life.